Have you ever stopped to genuinely ask yourself what separates the person you are today from that version of yourself that lives in your deepest and most unconfessable dreams? Most of the time, we believe this distance is measured by miracles, by extraordinary luck, or by blood inheritance. But today, I want to show you that this distance, in reality, can be measured by the thickness of a scissor blade and the courage to do the obvious. Imagine waking up, the alarm rings, and the weight of the world seems to crush your chest. For 7 years, this was Sara Blakely's reality. 7 years watching the sun rise on the Florida horizon while she prepared for the daily combat. The combat of rejection. Imagine the sound of hot asphalt cracking under the tires of her tired car as she drove to meet people who didn't want to see her. People who would laugh in her face, ignore her existence, and in many cases, tear up her business card right in front of her with a contempt that hurts the soul. Do you feel trapped? Do you feel like time is passing and you're just watching other people's lives through a window? Well now, take a deep breath and visualize the opposite. Visualize the moment when, alone in her bathroom at home, in a moment of pure frustration and exhaustion, that fax machine salesperson takes a simple pair of scissors, cuts the feet off a pair of pantyhose, and in that sacred silence of creation, also cuts the invisible chains that kept her tied to a life of mediocrity. The story you're going to hear today is not just about the birth of a product called Spanx. It's a treatise on human resilience elevated to its highest level. In this definitive documentary, we're going to dive where no one else has. We're going to understand how a woman who failed the bar exam twice, who worked as a Disney guide, and who had no knowledge of textile manufacturing, became the youngest self-made billionaire of all time. Stay with me, not just for the next few minutes, but for this entire journey. Because what I'm going to give you here isn't just entertainment, it's the coded map of real achievement. We're going to discover the secrets of her motherhood, the truth about her marriage to Jesse Itzler, and the brutal philosophy of success she applies to this day. Your life will never be seen the same way after this documentary. Let's start where it all really began, at the Blakely family dinner table. We have a habit of thinking that billionaires are born ready, or that they were blessed by a genetics of genius. But the truth is much simpler and, at the same time, much deeper. To understand Sara Blakely's empire, we shouldn't look at her bank balance, but rather at a wooden chair in her kitchen in Clearwater, Florida, in the late 70s. Her father was a brilliant lawyer, yes. But he had a practice that was anything but conventional. Every night, during dinner, he would sit Sara and her brother down and ask the question that would become the foundation of her unshakable mind. Sara, what did you fail at this week? Pause and feel the weight of that question in the context of your own childhood. In most homes around the globe, failure is something to be avoided at all costs. Making a mistake is a reason for punishment, shame, or at the very least, silence. We are taught to celebrate only the 10 on the test, the gold medal, and flawless success. But in that house, if the children answered that they hadn't failed at anything during the last 7 days, the father showed genuine concern. To him, the absence of failure was the most dangerous symptom of all. It was the sign that they were living in their comfort zone. It was the sign that they weren't pushing boundaries, weren't testing new skills, weren't growing. When Sara shared, for example, that she had tried to join the debate team and was summarily rejected, or that she had tried to learn an instrument and failed miserably, her father wouldn't just comfort her, he would celebrate. He would give her a high five. He would smile and say, "Congratulations on trying. Now what are we going to do next?" Without her knowing it, at that moment, her father was installing a high-performance operating system in her mind. He was creating a cellular immunity to the pain of rejection. He was teaching that the personification of success isn't constant victory, but rather the endless capacity to get up after a fall. But life, with its usual irony, decided to test this lesson in a bitter and early way. Sara Blakely grew up with the crystal-clear dream of being a lawyer, just like her hero, her father. She dedicated herself, studied legal communication, and put her entire future on a single bet: the LSAT entrance exam. On the first try, she failed. Frustration? Yes, but she tried again. On the second try, her score was even lower than the first. The dream of being a lawyer died right there, on a results paper. Many would give up. Many would feel humiliated. But Sara, trained by years of failure dinners, simply looked to the side and asked, "What's the next step?" She went to work at Disney World in Orlando. She wanted to be the character Goofy, but was rejected because of her height. She ended up being a tour guide at Epcot Center. She tried doing stand-up comedy, getting on stages in dimly lit bars, telling jokes to audiences that didn't laugh, feeling that pit in her stomach that paralyzes the weak. Observe this moment in her life closely. Look at that young woman in her early 20s, living at her mother's house after her parents' divorce, with no money, no career, and no direction. If you met her in that hallway, would you see a frustrated fax machine salesperson or a billionaire in the making? The difference was what her father had planted in her heart. The idea that, no, is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. And then, fate placed her in the place she hated most in her life, but which she today thanks as if it were the most prestigious of elite universities. For 7 long years, Sara Blakely was a door-to-door salesperson for the company Donka, selling fax machines under the merciless and humid Florida sun. Imagine the routine: waking up at 6 in the morning, putting on a polyester suit that seems to scream against the skin, and getting into your car to drive for hours, visiting office buildings where you weren't invited. Imagine the sound of a reception desk at an insurance office, where the receptionist doesn't even look up to say, "We're not interested, please leave." Imagine security guards escorting you out of the building as if you were a threat to public order. There were days when Sara would go back to her car and cry alone. She saw people tear up her business card in front of her with a contempt that was almost physical. She felt the sweat running down her back and the accumulated fatigue of hundreds of miles driven without closing a single sale. However, it was in this desert of rejection that she polished her greatest tool for success: the unshakable mindset. While driving, she didn't listen to radio music. She listened to motivational self-help cassettes, like Wayne Dyer's. She didn't just listen, she studied the psychology of human behavior. It was during this period that she began practicing a technique she uses to this day: extreme visualization. Sara would close her eyes in office building parking lots and see herself in a different life. She told herself, "I'm going to invent something that I can sell to the whole world, and not just door to door." She visualized the clothes she would wear, the house she would live in, and bizarrely, she saw herself sitting on Oprah Winfrey's couch telling her how she had overcome the odds. Think of the audacity of that. A fax machine salesperson, sweating, in an old car in Florida, visualizing the top of the world. Many would call this a delusion. She called it preparation. In those 7 years, she learned to read people's body language. She learned the exact moment to offer a closing argument. She learned that the customer's "no" had nothing to do with who she was as a human being, but rather with that person's emotional state at that moment. This separation between the "I" and the "result" is what allows an entrepreneur to survive the valley of shadow. Sara Blakely wasn't just selling fax machines, she was training her emotional muscles to withstand the weight of a billion-dollar empire. Every door slammed in her face was a brick in the foundation of Spanx. She was just waiting for the idea that would give meaning to all that painful training. Imagine you're 27 years old. You've saved up $5,000 over years of hard work at Donka. That's your entire life savings. There is no plan B. There are no venture capital investors. No third-party capital. In 1998, after that bathroom moment with the scissors, Sara decided her idea wouldn't just be a personal hack. She decided it would be a global product. But how to start? She had no business background. She knew no one in the textile industry. But she had the patience of someone who sold fax machines for 7 years. She went to the Atlanta Public Library and spent weeks poring over patent manuals. To save the $3,000 a lawyer would charge to write the document, she wrote her own patent. She bought a book on patents for dummies and followed the instructions step by step. This is what defines the entrepreneurial spirit: the refusal to accept bureaucratic obstacles as insurmountable barriers. With her prototype in hand, she traveled to North Carolina, the epicenter of pantyhose production in the United States. She walked into dusty, noisy factories populated by men who had been in that industry for 40 years. Imagine the scene. Sara, young, blonde, full of enthusiasm, trying to explain to industry veterans that the future of women's fashion consisted of cutting the feet off pantyhose. They laughed, literally and openly. "Who's going to buy this?" they asked. "You don't know what you're doing, kid. Go home." Once again, her father's training was worth every second. No, was an old friend. She didn't stop. And here comes the luck factor that always accompanies the obstinate. One of those factory owners, after kicking Sara out of his office, mentioned that crazy blonde girl's idea at home with his 2 daughters during dinner. Their reaction was immediate. "Dad, you're crazy if you don't manufacture this. We need this today." It was the insight of the actual users that bought the first yes. The factory called back, and Spanx went into production. Sara designed the red packaging on a childhood friend's computer, using an image of a real model to show the product was for real women. She didn't want beige, boring packaging. She wanted something that screamed on the shelves, "I am revolutionary." She was ready for the world. The world, however, had no idea of the tsunami that was about to hit. We have a tendency to dehumanize successful people, as if they were robots focused only on profit and market share. But what makes Sara Blakely one of the most beloved figures in entrepreneurship is her vulnerability and her life behind the billions. Many ask about the myths of her personal life. Was she a single mother? Was she abandoned? The truth is exactly the opposite and much more inspiring. In 2008, Sara married Jesse Itzler. Jesse is a force of nature in his own right. A former rapper, co-founder of Marquis Jet, and one of the most disciplined men in the world. They aren't just a couple, they're a mindset incubator. They challenge each other every day. Sara is the mother of 4 children, Laser, twins Charlie and Lincoln, and little Tepper. And she doesn't hide the reality. Her social media is full of real-life photos. The mess of toys scattered across the living room, the challenges of balancing a board meeting with a toddler's tantrum, and the acceptance that she's not a superhero. She says openly, "I'm a mother who fails every day, and that's okay." She teaches her children the same question her father asked. "What did you fail at today?" But how does she maintain sanity in a world that demands 24-hour attention? Here enters one of her most bizarre and genius habits: the fake commute. Sara lives just 5 minutes away from her Atlanta headquarters. But she wakes up an hour earlier than necessary and gets into her car. She drives aimlessly for 60 minutes before going to work. Why? Because she discovered that her creative brain needs that state of flow that only the act of driving provides. In the car, she's not the CEO surrounded by lawyers. She's not the mother surrounded by screens. She's just Sara, listening to her own thoughts. It's there, on that fake commute, that Spanx's strategies are gestated. She protects her thinking time as if it were her most precious asset. Oh, and a detail that shocks many. Sara Blakely has never had a single cup of coffee in her life. Her volcanic energy, which seems inexhaustible, comes from a sacred morning ritual. She prepares a specific smoothie with frozen blueberries, dark cherries, kale, dates, cinnamon, and walnuts. It's an alchemy of nutrients she's consumed for decades. Sara teaches us that to manage billions, you first need to manage yourself. You need to know your triggers, respect your rituals, and above all, accept that perfection is the greatest enemy of achievement. She didn't change who she was to fit into the corporate world. She forced the corporate world to accept a woman who laughs at herself and values family above any profit spreadsheet. Spanx's growth was meteoric, but the true test of Sara's character came at the moment of her greatest financial victory. In October 2021, she closed a historic deal with investment giant Blackstone, which acquired the majority of Spanx shares, valuing the company at an impressive $1.20 billion. Think about what most billionaires would do on that day. A new yacht? A private island in the Mediterranean? A silent retreat? Sara did something different. She gathered every one of her employees at the company's headquarters in Atlanta. She stepped onto the stage, with the same simplicity of the fax machine salesperson from 20 years ago, and with tears streaming down her face, she said, "This moment doesn't belong to me. It belongs to us." She announced that, as a token of gratitude, every employee, regardless of their position, would receive 2 first-class tickets to anywhere in the world, and a cash bonus of $10,000. She wanted them to celebrate with their families what they helped build in her 1-bedroom apartment years ago. She understands that human capital is the only capital that really matters in the long run. Today, Sara Blakely is one of the few women on the prestigious Giving Pledge list. She promised, in writing, to donate at least half of her total fortune to charity. And she's not waiting for the end of her life to do it. Her foundation, the Sara Blakely Foundation, is dedicated exclusively to supporting female entrepreneurs. She believes that if you give resources to a woman, she will change her family. If you change the family, you change the community. And if you change the community, you change the world. Her journey is not about the money she accumulated, it's about the impact she generated. She proved that it's possible to reach the top without stepping on anyone, without losing sweetness, and without sacrificing your integrity. She is proof that being nice and being a billionaire are not mutually exclusive terms. Sara transformed pantyhose into a tool for financial freedom for her and of empowerment for millions of other women. If you've reached this point in our documentary, you're not just a spectator. You're someone seeking excellence. And so that this story isn't just an inspiring biography in your memory, I've extracted the pure essence of Sara's thought into 20 key lessons. Listen to each of them as if it were a secret passed from mentor to protege. 1. Failure is not trying. Redefine the mistake in your mind. Failing is just the entry cost for real success. If you're not failing, you're not trying anything big enough. 2. Solve your own problem. Spanx was born from a personal need. If something bothers you in your routine, that bother is actually a disguised market opportunity. 3. Don't wait for anyone's permission. If Sara had waited for the textile industry to approve her idea, Spanx would never have existed. You are the only authority who needs to validate your dream. 4. Start small, but start now. She had $5,000 and zero experience. Perfectionism is the most refined form of procrastination. 5. Visualize with rich detail. Your brain needs to know where to go. Create the mental image of your success and inhabit it until the physical world has no choice but to adapt to it. 6. Make time for deep thinking. Sara's fake commute is a reminder. Your intuition doesn't speak to you in the middle of noise. Protect your silence. 7. Sell the transformation, not the object. She didn't sell fabric. She sold the feeling of feeling flawless and powerful. What is the emotion that your work provides? 8. Hire your weaknesses. Identify early what you're bad at and delegate it to someone who loves doing that. Your focus should only be on your creative genius. 9. Don't change to fit the corporate world. Sara kept laughing with her friends and never had coffee. Success should expand your essence, not stifle it. 10. Fear is a sign of growth. If you feel fear, you're on the frontier of your development. Fear is just raw energy waiting to be used. 11. Be your own marketing lead. Sara wore Spanx, talked to everyone, and even was her own model at the beginning. No one is going to believe in your dream if you aren't its #1 fan. 12. Choose a partner who expands your vision. Like Jesse Itzler for Sara, your partner should be your greatest challenger and your safe harbor. 13. Vulnerability is a connection tool. Telling the story of cutting the hose in the bathroom humanized Spanx. People buy from authentic people, not from cold corporate facades. 14. Give while you build. Don't wait for the first million to be generous. Generosity is a muscle that needs to be trained from the start. 15. Keep your sense of the ridiculous. Don't take yourself so seriously. Humor is what allows you to survive the days of absolute pressure. 16. No is just a momentary opinion. Tomorrow the landscape changes. Persist until no becomes a yes from gravity of reality. 17. Know your product in the smallest details. Sara studied patents on her own. This technical knowledge gave her the authority to challenge industry veterans. 18. Value human capital above all else. The $10,000 bonus for employees was an investment in legacy. Loyal people build eternal empires. 19. Never drink coffee, or find your natural fuel. Sara's morning smoothie is a reminder to take care of the temple that is your body. If your health fails, the empire crumbles. 20. Success is collective. No one reaches the top alone. Celebrate every victory with those who were in the trench with you under the hot sun. Sara Blakely's journey ends here in our account, but the echoes of her courage continue to reverberate in every pair of Spanx sold around the world. She proved to us, with the power of facts, that a pair of scissors, $5,000, and an absolute refusal to accept failure as an end can indeed change the course of personal and global history. Look at your hands now. Feel the energy flowing through you. What is the idea you're keeping in a drawer for fear of what the neighbors will say? What is the cut pantyhose of your life that you insist on ignoring because you think you don't know enough? Sara taught us that what you don't know can be your greatest strength. What you don't know prevents you from making the same mistakes that the experts make. Your initial ignorance is the fertile ground for your final originality. Your rock bottom of today, whether it's financial, emotional, or career-wise, is actually the richest soil you've ever had. That's where the roots of resilience grow. That's where empires are planned in the silence of the hot car. Leave it in the comments. Which of these 20 lessons from Sara Blakely are you going to carry in your heart starting today? I read every word and respond to those that demonstrate a genuine desire for change. If this premium documentary touched your soul, leave your like, share it with a woman who is about to give up today, and subscribe to the channel for more real journeys of female empowerment. You have everything you need. Start with what you have. I deeply believe in your potential. Until the next journey, biceps scissors rocket. Don't let what you don't know scare you, because it can become your biggest asset. Sara Blakely.